Hi, my name is Lexi. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and I'm glad to have you with me on this journey of learning about intermittent fasting and supporting each other. And I know a lot of people are new because they are probably starting, New Year's resolutions and all of that. And I'm going to talk about that later in the video. First off, my last weigh-in that I reported was December 17th. That was a Thursday, and it was 184.7. And December 24th, which was Christmas Eve, I weighed in at 184.6. I did take Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off from fasting. So that is 0.1 pounds down, which is not impressive, but I will take it. It is at least moving in the right direction. Also want to apologize because my kids are playing games downstairs and they're extremely loud. So if you hear them yelling, I'm sorry. So anyway, I just wanted to rewind to December 18th, so my last video, I said that I was going to have 3 days of fasting the last week, the week before Christmas, but it didn't quite end up that way. On Friday, I was planning on actually doing modified fast, so like a down day or a 500 calorie day, because we were headed out on a road trip. We had a 6-hour drive, just a little weekend trip. And so yeah, I was going to do just some nuts and cheese and a little bit of lemon water. The reason why is because I have had a kidney stone, and mine was caused by high oxalate foods, which include nuts. And so one way that you can offset that with forming kidney stones is to combine like the high oxalate food with calcium, high calcium foods like cheese. So that's why I was doing cheese and nuts before I had done this, and I'd just done nuts before I went on a trip. Reason being, just because I'm in the car with my family for 6 hours and they're all snacking and stuff, and it's just easier. It was easier for me last time just to have had that little mini meal of some nuts. It kind of just helped me to not feel like I wanted to have the peanut M&Ms while, everyone else was having that kind of thing. So, but this time I had the nuts and the cheese, and typically whenever I do a modified fast day or when I have the 500 calorie meal, what will happen is it'll kind of spike my hunger for about an hour-ish, and then it'll go away and I'll be fine. But this time it didn't happen that way. Like, I kept feeling hungry, but it wasn't just hunger. It was like a moodiness and a crankiness. And I was like not feeling like it was going to be good for me to be stuck in a car with 5 other people in that situation. So I decided to go ahead and have an actual meal, like an OMAD. So I had 2 tacos, and that was it. And I ate all of that, the nuts and the tacos within like a 2-hour eating window. So I would call that more like an OMAD that day. And the moral of the story is, like, after this long of fasting that I've been fasting, I do kind of know when a situation is different and when it's something that I feel like I need to go ahead and eat. And this has never happened to me before, actually, where I've had an OMAD day that I wasn't planning on. Like I said, I was planning on the modified fast, but eating was not in the plans. But I knew, just based on how I was feeling, that was going to be, and the situation too. If I had just been, at home and, not going anywhere, I wouldn't have even modified my fast and I would have been fine. But it was just based on the stress and the situation at hand. And so you really do have to evaluate what's going on, how you're feeling, what your body's doing, and just be okay with that and accept it. Now, I did not just go ahead and eat the rest of the day and snack in the car and blah, 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 and all that. I just kept it to that OMAD, and I was fine. I knew that my body and my mind were feeling sound at that moment and that I could continue. So just something I wanted to share with you. And hopefully that helps you if a situation like that ever arises. Don't feel bad. If you need to change your plans, there's nothing wrong with changing your plans. I think it's when your intentions are involved that's important, rather than just feeling like you're out of control and you're just going with whatever comes to mind. Then that can be a slippery slope. But changing your plans based on your intentions is totally okay. Well, moving on, I just wanted to talk about New Year's resolutions. So I have kind of a love-hate feelings about New Year's resolutions, because I think they're a good thing. I think the idea behind them is good. I think that starting fresh in the new year is a great thing, and we've all overindulged and need to reset, and that's important. I think the trouble comes in when we expect too much of ourselves too fast. And also, the thing I found for myself is just that the fact that it's January 1st was never a big enough or strong enough why, or just the fact that I had overindulged and really needed to lose weight and just felt terrible, was just not a big enough reason for me to make the changes that I needed to make. And it is a good, nudge, I guess, when we get into that situation. But there's a lot of change that has to happen along the way. And I think that a lot of people are under the false impression that if they lose weight, then everything else will fall into place and they will be happy and everything will be great. But in fact, it's a lot more complicated than that. There is emotions that we have to deal with, and habits, and all kinds of different things that tie into our whole self that have to do with why we got there in the first place. And so, I'm still dealing with a lot of different improvements of myself constantly. And I think that that's something we need to address along the way and continually. And the new year is just kind of one of those boost times where, you're really restarting and refocusing, and it's awesome. But that kind of momentum can only take you so far. And what I do think is kind of a big benefit of fasting, and especially alternate day fasting, is you have these entire days where you don't have to think about food, or at least preparing it for yourself or eating it or digesting it. And so you have time to evaluate what you're feeling and how things are going, and be really honest with yourself. And so, but as far as what I feel like I want to work on this year, definitely I am wanting to get back into my goal range. I'm about 5 pounds out of that. I would like to be more comfortably in my goal range of 170s. And if you're new here, I'm 5'11". My original goal weight was 175. I hit that in the summer and creeped up from there. So just with different things going on. So I'm planning on getting close back to that. And just by, I'm going to be fasting 3 times a week now consistently. I will probably still throw in 1 5-2 week a month, just because that's what I've done from the beginning. And I actually think it's been really beneficial for me. Maybe for my body, just to be like, oh, it's okay. We're getting enough food. Not that I don't eat enough food normally, but I don't know. I think it's just helpful to mix it up every now and then and just kind of give yourself a little breather. But we'll see. I don't know. I may just continue with the 3 days, until I feel like I want to throw in a 5-2 week. So in addition to that, I would also like to just keep learning. I love listening to podcasts, and I'm going to talk about that next week, about my favorite podcasts, and reading books. Now this year, today I have coming a book that I'm super excited about reading, which is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I've had that recommended so many times, including one of my subscribers, Patricia. So thank you, Patricia. And I've heard so many good things about this book. I wish I could show it to you, but I don't have it. It's coming today. but it's just a book about learning how to adopt habits into your life. And I know for me, I have made a lot of good changes and have a lot of good habits that I've established, but I also have some bad habits that I would like to either get rid of or at least improve upon, and also to establish some new good habits. There's some things that I would like to do better, including just incorporating maybe some different kinds of exercise and healthier foods and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to read that book. And even though I haven't read it, I think I can safely recommend it because I've just seen so many people recommend this book. So if this is something you think would help you, I will have it linked below. And I will also mention that if you think you're not a reader, which I've always been a reader, I love reading, I've read since I was a kid, but some people think they're not readers. You may try audiobooks and you may be surprised that you really enjoy them, because my husband is someone who always thought he hated reading. And it was really just because he has a hard time sitting with a book. By the time he gets time to do it, he's so tired, he'll just fall asleep. So, but he does drive a lot, and he used to drive more for his job. So like he started listening to Harry Potter at one point on audiobook, and he just fell in love with audiobooks and realized that he actually does like to listen to books. So that may be the case for you, and you might try that if you think you're not a reader, because there's just so much value in books. Like, I know that might just sound obvious, but like I think that you're missing out on a lot if you never either pick up a book or listen to a book. So along with that book, I also really would like to read, and I don't have this one yet either, but The Cancer Code by Jason Fung. I'm super interested in what that one is all about. Preventing cancer in my family and myself is very close to me. My mom passed away from brain cancer in 2018, and she had a pretty long battle with that. It was 14 years that she dealt with, chemo and surgeries and radiation and all of that. So I definitely have a very strong inclination to avoid that for myself and my family if I can. So really interested to read what he has written in that book about, and I know it has a lot to do with fasting and, insulin related diseases. High insulin is linked to a lot of diseases. And so I'm really interested to read that one. And that's my plan for this year. And also I'm learning about heavy metal detox. This book I'm reading right now is called The Mercury Detoxification Manual. It's by Andy Cutler and Rebecca Lee. So Andy Cutler it says on the back here, was a healthcare consultant in the Seattle area. He had a PhD in chemistry from Princeton and a BS in physics from the University of California. He's the author of Amalgam Illness, Diagnosis and Treatment. He engaged in extensive self-study in biochemistry and medicine due to assorted health problems. He actually died pretty young. He died, I think, at 59, and it addresses his death in the book as well. Rebecca Lee is the one who wrote the book. He basically sat there and had Dr. Cutler dictate the book to her, and she wrote it. And she also had a lot of health problems that were helped by heavy metal chelating, specifically mercury. So I've spoke about this on my channel before, that I have had mercury toxicity issues related to amalgams in my mouth being removed improperly. So it's something that I'm learning about, and I really want to start detoxing this year. So I'm really learning about how to do it properly. And I am not a doctor. I can't tell you what you should do, but I would tell you that this book has a ton of useful information if you are interested in learning about it. It's not an inexpensive book. It was like $40 plus $10 shipping, I think, so it was like $50. But the information I think is invaluable, especially because there's a lot of really bad information about heavy metal detoxing out there that can actually make you a lot worse and very sick. So if you think that you have an issue with this, I just do highly recommend learning about it from a reputable source, and I think this is one. So I will link this below as well. So yeah, for me, that's it. Just kind of learning and continuing on in my journey and trying to troubleshoot and do my best and improve my health and all of that. And I just wanted to say that another thing about New Year's resolutions, I think that why people fail with New Year's resolutions is they'll set a goal and it'll be a really big, really out there goal, right? Like lose 100 pounds by this summer, you know, like, because there's this self-hatred, like, and I can't handle being in a swimsuit another year with all this weight on or whatever. And I think that really goals should come from a place of, and self-improvement should come from a place of loving yourself and not hating yourself. Because you love yourself, you're going to make these changes to improve your life and be happy, and to be there and show up for the people in your life, instead of just this like self-loathing and I can't stand myself anymore and I just have to get this off. No, just you know, figure out why you feel the way you do, and try to focus on the good things that you love about yourself right now and why you want this, and let it take as long as it takes. You know, if it takes 2 years to get off the 100 pounds, if it takes 3 years to get off the 100 pounds, that's okay, you know, because by this summer, you're going to be in a better place. You're going to continually be in a better place along the way. And you just have to appreciate the journey and the milestones and let it be what it is, because weight loss, our bodies don't lose X amount of pounds just because we tell them to. And if you do, you're probably doing it in a way that you can't sustain. So I'm not saying you won't, because some people do just naturally lose weight really quickly, and that does happen, but it's not very common. And so just for your expectations to be set accordingly, I think it's important to let it be what it is and just be facing in the right direction. I think that's the important thing, is to be facing in the right direction, not so much caring and focusing on how far you have to go or, you know, your unmet expectations, but just making sure that you're doing what you know is helping you get to where you are, whether it's slow or quick, but just progress in the right direction. So anyway, I hope that helps, and let me know what your goals are, and I would love to support you along the way. And thank you for joining me and for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.